All right, what's up, guys? It's Angel here, coming back to you from my home gym. It's a little bit later in the day, so we have the little birds chirping outside, but it's okay. Today's topic, we're going to be talking about mental health, specifically 3 quick ways you can try to start changing things rapidly. We're going to go over 3 ways where you can implement that into your own life. So the reason we're doing 3 ways is because I don't want to have too many topics like top 10 or whatever, even though there might be more ways, and there probably are, to improve health. I don't want to have so many topics where it just kind of gets into the weeds of things and it's hard to implement. You get paralyzed by how many options there are. We're just going to go with 3 simple things and we're going to go from there. That's how a lot of these formatted videos are going to be, where we're going to stick to a low number like 3. You can actually try and implement those things and see what happens instead of having to pick from 10 or whatever. You get the point. Okay, so the first topic is, so you're trying to improve your mental health and you need a quick way to turn that around. In my experience, my personal experience, the quickest thing that's going to turn something around like that is a biological change. So my definition of this, the way I've been doing it, is something that changes the physical body. So if you're laying in bed all day or whatever the case may be, you need to get out of bed and start moving your body. There's a few different things that I've been doing specifically. The quickest thing to completely change your mental and stop you from thinking about anything else other than that thing, the quickest way is an ice bath or a cold shower. Basically, the reason why is because when you're in something that intense, your brain can't help but think about only that thing and surviving through that moment. It's almost like your brain goes into this mode of just survival. Everything else seems less significant and you're just focused in that moment. So if you don't have access to an ice bath, you don't really need one. You just need a cold shower, just a few minutes. And when you come out, you realize how your brain is way less worried about all those other things. And it's more concerned about what just happened. It takes your body into that experience and it just focuses on that. There are a few other ways I've been doing it. Probably things that are more consistent and things that you're gonna feel more in control of. Things like running, exercising, and then of course your intake, whether it be your food that you're intaking, the drinks that you're intaking. You don't want to be taking in sugar dense food or drinks and high carbs if you're not actually using it and working out and moving around. So all that stuff that's sitting around, it's going to make you feel worse if you don't actually use it. So that's something to be aware of. Is you're basically like a machine. Anything you take in is what you're going to get out. If you give your body bad fuel, you're going to obviously feel terrible. And the same thing goes in with information. So this is kind of still part of step 1, or the first method, but you want to control the things that you're taking in. So you want to have, it's like if you have a pool, you're trying to fill up your pool, but you only want to add water if you're sure that there's no leaks. So when I say you want to have these biological changes, well, yes, these things are going to help you right away if you go for a run, but they're not going to fix everything right away. So you need to stop taking in bad information. If you're scrolling on like YouTube or TikTok or Instagram all day, or if you're taking in bad information, if you're in a bad environment, it's good to have something that can quickly biological change, but you need to be aware of your environment and stay away from taking in bad information, bad food, bad fuel, because it's just going to be a cycle of tormenting yourself and then having a very small lasting change. So the reason I put this as step 1 is because it's one of the quickest things that you can do. A cold shower, go for a run, exercise. It's going to make you feel better the fastest. But it is not a permanent change. It does stack onto each other and eventually, you see the results. But if there's something deeper than that, it's just going to help you in the meantime feel like you're more in control. We're going to get into step 2, which is lasting change. So lasting change, in my definition, from my experience, is something that you work towards and you build towards something instead of having something that makes you feel immediately gratified. So there's so many examples of how we can take this, but if we just did something like food, there's going to be a lot of food that tastes great, and if you ate it right now, you would feel good right now. But overall, if you did that so many times, it's not going to be good for you. So the main purpose of this is working towards a goal that is worthwhile. So if there's something that maybe sleeping in and not doing anything the whole day might feel like that's what your brain wants, but it's not on the long term going to help you do anything. So The reason I think this is going to help you long term is because the worst thing you could possibly go through is having a solution, waking up the next morning and the problem still being there. That's going to feel like the worst feeling in the world if you're putting your energy into it and you think you're doing something, and then the next morning, the next day, you're still dealing with the same problem. That's not lasting change, and at the end of the day, that's going to just put you deeper into the hole and make you feel like there is no way out. And I think rock bottom is when you're in a crazy place and you feel like there's no way out. Because no matter what you're going through, if you can see the light at the end of the tunnel, it's almost still possible to be like, I can get through this. You don't want to make yourself feel like there's no way out. That's probably one of the worst things you can do. And there's certain actions that are going to make you feel that way. Things like instant gratification are going to give you a false sense of positivity, where it's like, hey, this is great, but at the end of the day, the problem's still there. Is there even a way to get through this? So you want to work on things that over time are going to actually solve the problem. It's the same example of like giving someone a fish versus teaching them how to fish. One is going to be like, okay, cool, I'm fed today, but tomorrow it's going to feel worse when I just had the answer in front of me and I don't know how to do it. Versus teaching someone how to fish, it's going to suck a little more because they have to go figure it out. But at the end of the day, nobody can take that away from them. They know how to fish, so they're going to be able to feed themselves. You need to teach yourself how to be able to feed yourself. Whatever that problem is you're going through, whatever that solution, that issue you're trying to solve, you need to teach yourself how to solve it, not necessarily just go purchase something that's going to be a temporary solution, an experience that's going to be just a distraction, because that's exactly what those are a lot of the times, is distractions. If you're not solving the problem, you're just distracting yourself. That's why I think lasting change is something that's way more worthwhile. If there's a way that you can own something instead of renting it, if there's a way that you can take the information instead of paying someone to do it, whatever the problem is, if you're more in control, the better you're going to feel, because you're stronger as a person. You're going to feel like you have more control over that area. This is very general, and I know that, but I do that intentionally because I want to be able to affect the most problems, therefore the most people will be able to relate to this. So I'm giving some examples specifically, but at the same time, you can apply this to anything. You can take it from a small level, and it's important to do that too, because you want to start to develop small wins back to back to back, so make yourself feel really good that you can accomplish anything. You use those same principles to accomplish bigger things on a larger scale. It's exactly how it works, and it really is that simple. But it takes time sometimes, or you just have to figure out how to do it yourself. So that's why the whole purpose of lasting change is worth looking into, is because the worst feeling you can have in the world is thinking you have a solution and then waking up to the exact same problem at the exact same state the very next day. You want to prioritize purpose over pleasure and do the harder thing. It doesn't have to be the harder thing. A lot of the times it tends to be the harder thing that creates lasting change instead of just a temporary band-aid. Okay. The last and final thing is consistency, and this is step number 3, method number 3, but I know it sounds super basic, but it really is super important, because when we're talking about mental health, this is what we want it to look like. We want it to be a steady incline and gathering stuff over and over, lasting change. Lasting change does not look like this. It doesn't look like a roller coaster. It doesn't look like mountains. Lasting change should look like this, a straight incline, exponential. As you grow more tools and more skills, it could even go higher and faster. But at the end of the day, your goal is to not let yourself come down like this. So a lot of the times not being consistent is where those valleys come in, where it's just like, oh, I'm doing great. And maybe you're not used to that mentally. Your body sabotages yourself, doesn't go do the things it needs to do for a while until you start feeling like shit again. You use that as a motivator to start again, and you end up feeling like you're plateauing here, never actually getting past it. That's where consistency comes in. That's where you're gonna even if you have to go through the motions for a period of time, just to stay consistent, and it might not be the most fun thing. Well, a lot of times fun things, what seems more intriguing is when you're in that valley and then you need to get out of it. You're in that valley and you need to get out of it. You need to do something crazy to get yourself out of it. Your brain needs that dopamine. Well, a lot of times it is boring, but that's how you're gonna excel, and that's how you're gonna stay consistent and go exponentially. I know I'm doing this a lot, but I really need you to visualize it and know what it looks like. It does not look like a roller coaster. It does not look like I'm happy one day and I'm depressed the next day. you want to find that, I wouldn't even say balance, but I want to say that presence, that mental clarity, and know what it feels like to be an optimal day, and try to replicate that every day and add stuff onto it as you develop those habits. As those habits become second nature and you're not actually thinking about them, they're more automatic, you can start to replace those with other stuff. I don't mean take those things out. I mean, they're so second nature that you're not thinking about them. You have mental energy to add more stuff and focus on, okay, gotta remember to do this now. That's what growth looks like. And you just want to make sure that you're doing those things in the right way, because your brain is like a sponge. It will listen to you. Whatever you tell it to do, it's going to experience that and it's going to want to do it again. Whatever you're doing at that current moment, your brain will get better at the more you do it. So you want to make sure you put positive things and good things in front of you. Create your environment like that, because your brain is like a sponge and it's going to listen to you. So if you're feeding it positive things, it's almost inevitable that you start to feel it and you start to feel a change. So we went over something that's going to change you right away, something biologic, where you put yourself in an environment and it feels different, and it's going to affect your brain. Going out into sunlight as well as another big one. We did something that's going to be a more permanent solution, so you don't feel like you're having peaks and valleys. So prioritizing the correct things over temporary pleasure. And the step 3 that we had was consistency, so that way you're not going through those valleys and making yourself feel like you can never get out of that, when in reality the most simplest thing is what's going to keep you from coming back down. So that's it for this video. I just wanted to go over those 3 things. If this video helped you, please let me know how. Let me know in your personal experience, if it's not too personal, how and what ways you can relate to this. I do want to be able to see it affecting other people and how they're implementing it, or if they have any other ideas in the as well, throw those in the comments. But I think I'm gonna make one other video today. So if I am wearing the same shirt, it's not because I didn't change or didn't shower, it's just making a second video in the same day.